Your new home for 49ers football in the 916 Sactown Sports.
Welcome back, Drapes and Jay here on Sactown Sports. 11:40, time to bring in our guy. Lights out, they call him. Hittner, Donte Whitner. Played safety for the San Francisco 49ers. Stellar career. He's jumping on with Drapes and Jay. Donte, thanks for jumping on with us, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm going to start right with Sunday. I know Jay don't want to dive too much into it, but I'm going to keep it real with you. 34-7, the Raiders putting it on the 49ers. I understand the starters weren't out there. I understand it was a squad full of backups, Donte. But should I be concerned about what I saw Sunday?
0%. The only concern you should probably have is they probably have a lack of depth right now behind the starters. When you look at 8 out of the 100 top NFL players in the NFL, the 49ers have 22 out of the starters, right? So they have 8 out of that 22. So I don't think that they have to worry when it comes to their starters. I think that when they should really worry is when it comes to depth. And then they'll trim it. They'll start to get guys coached up. They'll start to game plan. So, I have 0% worry when it comes to the 49ers.
Donte, something that you are super familiar with, of course, and that's the safety position. I want to talk about Talanoa Hufanga, man. He's all-pro last year in his first full season of starting. Of course, he came out the gates mobbing on certain teams and played pretty well throughout the season. There were a couple of times that he seemed to be out of position, or people like yourself, analysts, great folks who've played the position, said he might have got caught looking at the QB. What's your take on Talanoa Hufanga going into the second season of full starting and maybe to be considered one of the top safeties? What are you looking from him for Donte Whitner's eyes?
Well, it's funny because I just watched him at practice, cover the tight end flawlessly, and pick Brock Purdy off with one hand and running back for a touchdown.
That's what I'm talking about.
Dropping them nuggets.
Consistently getting better. I was one of the guys on the bandwagon for Talanoa Hufanga when he was drafted. I know that a lot of people knock his straight line speed, but it's the instincts, the anticipation of where the ball is going, and then it's the other things. It's the film study. It's the, knowing and knowledge of where players are aligned, their tendencies, that allows him to make plays. This was a guy that was all Pac-12 2 consecutive years. He was up for the Thorpe Award, and you implement him in a 49ers defense that is high pressure, he's going to have success. So I expect him to keep ascending and to eventually be the top safety in the NFL.
Ooh, he said top safety in the NFL.
About.
Okay, Donte, I want to stay on the defense. Obviously, the defensive line, a strong point for the 49ers. We didn't see him out there. No Armstead, no Bosa, no Hargrave. But the depth behind that defensive line, was that of concern for you on Sunday? Because it looked like the Raiders just carved through it by, like it was Swiss cheese. And with Bosa not in camp because of a holdout, are you concerned about the line at all and the depth behind it?
Oh, no. This is going to be one of the strongest lines in the NFL. Think about what they have in front of them. You have 2 of the premier inside interior rushers in Hargrave and Armstead. When Bosa gets back out there, he's number 3 NFL player, number 1 pass rusher, consistently apply pressure. Drake Jackson is going to take a leap in his second year. He's out right now with an injury. He didn't play on Sunday. Then you have guys like Kerry Hyder. You have Givens. You have Kinlaw, who is healthy for the first entire offseason in his young career. He's looking explosive and had a sack today in practice. So when it's all said and done and they get those top 8 to 9 defensive tackles, I don't have any problem with the 49ers defensive line. I think that they're still going to lead this defense and lead this team ultimately back to the Super Bowl.
Rocking with Donte Whitner of NBC, of course, of Bay Area, California, former NFL safety. Donte, man, speak from Donte Whitner's point of view. What does a veteran do with preseason? What are you trying to accomplish as you head into preseason game number 2?
If you're a high-level veteran with goals and high-level goals and aspirations, you're trying to make practice as challenging as possible for yourself so that when the game days roll around, it's easy. You want to put in those hours when nobody's watching in your room, watching film, taking care of your body, and really getting yourself in game shape before week one rolls around. So when I would take the field or practice, I would make sure that I put myself in adverse situations. I would cover myself up with sweatsuit underneath my pants and shoulder pads. I would make sure that my helmet is buckled up all the way through practice. Make sure no matter if I'm all the way on the other side of the practice field and the ball is ran to the left and I'm all the way on the right, to make sure I get all the way over there to tap off on the ball carriers and really test your cardiovascular system so that when week one rolls around, you're not out there huffing and puffing. All you have to do is play the game. And when I had my best years, I was in peak shape. I followed through with that through every training camp practice, and that's what every player should be trying to accomplish during these preseason games and in training camp.
That's game right there, Donte.
Yeah, Donte Whitner, former safety for the San Francisco 49ers. Donte, Jay's coming with those safe questions, those nice and easy questions. He's lobbing you softballs. Answer me this. I believe Trey Lance is playing for his spot come August 19th against Denver, come Saturday. What do you think about that? His spot on the squad, he's playing for come Saturday.
I agree with you. What we saw from him was a little hesitancy in the first preseason game. He almost had a near interception. I know they said that was a good read, but I think that it's the mechanics behind why that happened. And when you watch guys like Aaron Rodgers, when they do that semi-roll, they flip their hips so quickly and that release is so quick that ball would have been there in an instant and it would have been a touchdown. This is one of the things that I really worried about with Trey Lance, even when he was starting the first 4 games and when he came in as a rookie, was that elonged throwing motion, right? There's the quarterbacks in the league that have to get the ball out quickly, allow guys to catch it, transition with it, and run. They have the most success. So I think that, yeah, he did improve on his mechanics. He did improve on his footwork. But even last week in practice versus the Las Vegas Raiders, it was just too many balls on the ground, too many missed throws. So I agree. I think that he is playing for his position on the 49ers roster, being that they have Brock Purdy, who they're super confident in, and then he's backed up by Sam Darnold. And they feel like Sam Darnold has had a lot of starting experience. If he can get in there with a run game, if he has to, he can get a couple wins. So I think that Trey Lance is playing for his 49ers roster spot.
Donte, as a lifelong 49er fan, man, I'm as Drape's accused me of throwing softballs to you, man, I'm going to go ahead and spice up my slider to you. Tell me why the 49ers would not win a Super Bowl this year, besides common sense, luck, injuries. But what's your take on why?
I would say just injuries, or if the secondary doesn't really gel together. There's a few pieces that are missing, in my opinion, in the secondary, and that's the nickelback and the dime position.
Yeah.
Last year, they played 65% with 5+ DBs on the field, and this year they're coming in with indecision in that spot. So when you look at their division and the receivers and the slot receivers and the guys drafted, it's probably one of the top, slot receiver divisions. So I think that you have to figure out who that nickelback is going to be. Is he tough enough to be able to handle a lot of these receivers in man coverage? Is he tough enough to be able to stop the run and get in there and take on crack blocks? What about depth in the secondary? I don't know how much actual depth they have. And then at linebacker, how much depth do they have at linebacker? I think they're really top heavy when it comes to talent and experience. So if anything, it would be injuries first and foremost, and then the inexperienced guys getting in there and not playing up to the level of expectations of the 49ers.
On with Donte Whitner, former safety for the Niners. Donte, we had Kirk Morrison on last week, and we talked about the division. And, I maintained, I thought it was the 49ers to lose. I think, you got the Eagles and 49ers and then everybody else. How do you see the division? Could a team like Seattle make some noise against the Niners?
Definitely the team like Seattle will going out and getting Jackson Ajiba, who I believe is going to be implemented in that offense and immediately make an impact. When you have DK Metcalf on the outside, the way that Geno Smith played last year, a lot of those young guys in the secondary and on that defensive line in Seattle is playing better, and they're only going to be better in their second year altogether. So I think that, it's possible. But with the 49ers and the way that they're built, if they can stick to their just true formula, stay healthy, with the trickery that Kyle Shanahan has in this system, it's going to be very tough to beat the 49ers. And they play a brand of football that a lot of teams aren't willing to match or exceed with the physicality. So Yeah, I think that, Seattle could sneak up on them, but I don't really foresee that happening. I think that it really boils down to the Eagles and the 49ers again.
Donte, man, you're an Ohio boy through and through. Ohio State, of course, a Buckeye. Just speak to what's going on. I know your boys are safe and sound in the Big Ten. They're one of the stable mates when it comes to college football. But speak to what you thought. What's going on with college football, man? Especially at San Jose State, you were enrolled in. Like, what's your take on college football right now?
Well, my take on college football is it's really top heavy. I think that they're really influenced by the NIL deals. And behind the scenes, the coaches have to deal with more headaches than they've ever had to deal with. I think that the recruiting landscape is very difficult because of guys transferring in, transferring out. It's hard to coach guys now, right? You upset somebody, you say the wrong thing, and then they're ready to transfer out the next day. I think that that's just the reality of where it is. I think that you always have Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, and those top-heavy teams.
You say Michigan.
Michigan. We're not going to say Michigan. You always have these top-heavy teams, and it seems like it's going to boil down to these guys every year. They get the pick of the litter when it comes to recruiting. They send the most guys to the NFL, and just as that's what I wanted when I was choosing my university, the opportunity to win, to be on a grand stage, and to go to the NFL and go early. So I think it's going to continue to remain top heavy. I just know that with my Ohio State Buckeyes, I've been a little disappointed over the past few years because they haven't held the standard on defense. They haven't played with that toughness that Ohio State is built on. And in the big games, they faltered in the secondary. So I wouldn't even put it on the entire defense. I'm just going to put it on Ohio State secondary when we are DBU. You understand? I don't want to hear nothing about LSU. We're DBU, and we should play to a higher standard. So if they can play to a higher standard this year, we can get some good quarterback play. Ohio State, we might have a chance.
That's good stuff from Donte Whitner, two-time Pro Bowler, played 3 seasons with the Niners at safety, also Buffalo, Cleveland, and Washington. Donte, appreciate you jumping on with us, man.
Oh, I appreciate you guys having me. Look forward to a long season, man.
No doubt, man.
Right.
Appreciate you hitting her.
Might see him in Oakland come early February down there. Not Oakland, Vegas. Vegas.
Oh, yeah, you know that.
Yeah,
come on,
yeah.
I know where you're going.
You know where I'm going,
come
right?
On. You know you're going to see him now. Ain't no Mike Stewart.
It's interesting that before we get to break, he brought up the Seahawks. Are we not taking them seriously enough?
No, I think a lot of people are. There's enough, national advocates for the Seattle Seahawks. I think Dante's just speaking from more of a player's position, and that's kind of one of the things when you were entrenched in a certain family, which he is with the 49ers and the Bills and the Browns, of course, as you heard him with Ohio State, you respect them, but you can't never give them a leg.
Right. Exactly. All right. We got much more Drapes and Jay here on Sactown Sports 1140. Give us a call, 916-339-1140. Are you concerned by what you saw from the 49ers on Sunday? We'll discuss coming up next.
It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross.
It's interesting because Brock Purdy did not play in 2 games.